Hello, YouTube. Welcome to another instant analysis. This time on Party Emma. Um, we are gonna talk about the SR first. Which is Michoku Dreamer Kanon. Natural attribute voltage type. The stats on the card are actually pretty good. For an SR, this is pretty good. Like nearly 8,000 base appeal. 75, 95 base stamina, 43, 96 base technique. The stamina is a little bit higher than you would like to see on a voltage card, obviously. Most voltage cards have like a very low base stamina stat. With the exception of like a few cards, your initial Nikos and like your initial Kotoris and stuff like that. But for an SR to have almost 8,000 base appeal at max limit break is pretty good. Tap active, it's a voltage gain. So it's not as good as, voltage boost, tap active. But, specifically for SRs, probably the best type of tap active for SRs is the appeal boost. And this is not an appeal boost. It's just a voltage gain. 5.2% for the next 5 notes. Only affects same attribute cards. So only affects other natural attribute cards. This kind of, these attribute restrictions and stuff like that really make building around these cards kind of difficult. Passive is okay. It's the same attribute passive. It's only 3.2% because it's an SR. LSA, increase appeal by 4% for 5 notes upon appeal chance completion, and this happens every time you pass an appeal chance. The LSA is again very weak because with between her tap active and her LSA, it's only affecting cards for the next 5 notes, either after the tap active goes off or after you complete an appeal chance. So it really cuts down all the boosts that this card gives out. And for Dreamlight Parade and stuff like that, this will be perfectly fine to use. But like most SRs, and what we've been saying basically is mostly Dreamlight Parade only and mostly costume filler, and this card kind of fits that same bill. But let's talk about the face of the party banner, the UR Party Emma. Mail Service Emma. Post Office Emma. Smile attribute SK type. 12,852 base appeal, 6103 base stamina, 13,171 base technique. This means she has a crit profile. For those of you that don't know, a crit profile means that whenever your highest base statistic is your technique, you get an additional 15% to your crit rate. And this card at max limit break, based on her technique, caps out at about between a 54 and a 55% crit rate, according to Kirara. Now, there is good and bad with this card. And the bad, unfortunately, outweighs the good in this instance. The good, her passive. Hybrid passive, increasing appeal by 6.5% and increasing stamina by 3.2% to all other smile attribute cards. So this does give her a very big modicum of flexibility, right? If you want to backline her, you could, right? If you wanted to backline her with a full smile frontline, by all means, you can definitely do this. Now, here's the bad part of this card. The bad part of this card is her tap active. much like Second Phase Chica, people are going to look at this tap active and go, oh my god. This is amazing. Her tap active goes off and you can get 60% of her appeal as voltage. Here's the problem though. This tap active only activates at an 11% skill activation rate. So much like Second Phase Chica, right? If we wanted to kind of compare this card, right, over 9 notes. Over 9 notes, which is once every 9 notes, this tap active will go off on average. So once every 9 notes, you will gain 60% of her appeal, which isn't even her highest stat, as voltage. By comparison, if we're taking that same 9-note span, right? If we're taking the same 9-note span and we're looking at, you know, let's stay away from Kanon, right? Let's stay away from First Phase Kanon and let's look at, you know, actually something, you know, another similar card that people probably don't bring up enough, which is Party Yo. Party Yo, over the same 9-note span, on average, will add 3 times 42% of her appeal as voltage. Because she has a 33% skill activation rate on her tap active, which adds 42% of her appeal as voltage. So, every 9 notes, Party Yo will add 126% of her appeal as voltage. In that same time frame, over that same 9-note time frame, Emma only adds 60%. Okay? So, and this is why, right, especially now, other people that play this game and review cards and things like that, before we get too excited about the actual tap active or show skills or what, you know, whatever you want to call it, the very first thing we have to look at is the skill activation percent chance. Because now, you know, since, you know, with a couple events ago and us starting to get these 11% skill activation tap active cards, we're starting to see that K-Lab is trying to tamper down the strength of certain cards by lowering their skill activation rate chances. Now, my personal opinion is that this 11% chance is actually going a little bit too far. Right? Again, Party Yo over 9 notes will be able to add 126 at max limit break, 126% of her appeal as voltage. If you wanted to balance this card out in a similar fashion, you could actually do this at a 22% chance. Right? You'll be able, if on a 22% skill activation chance, this means that Emma, this party Emma, would be able to activate her tap active skill twice over the course of 9 notes, which would mean she would be adding 120% of her appeal as voltage. So, very much so, unless you're an Emma Oshi, this type of card, much like Second Phase Chica, this is a bait card. This is a very, very heavy bait card. So, Wales, very happy that they don't necessarily have to pull for this card. They don't have to pull for this card now. At most, this card is basically backline filler. Right? This is just backline appeal boosting. You know, Emma Oshis are probably going to scout for the card. But it's not one I would actively go after. the 11% skill activation rate really, really hampers the card. You know, even though the stats are nice, you know, chat is saying, you know, this is an SK type card as well. So, any formation you put this Emma in, she will have a 5% decrease into her outgoing voltage. So, you have to remember that as well. That's why a card like Party Yo is much, much better as far as a score than this Emma. I would also go so far to say is like, you know, instances where you would be using this Emma, which would be possibly Advanced Plus songs, whether it be like a Love You My Friends or a Toki Runners or something like that. I would actually much rather use a combination of First Fest Shioriko, Moonrabbit Shizuku, and Mononoke Rina. Like a formation like that, I think would score a heck of a lot better than taking out one of those 2 regular gacha cards for this Emma. But yeah, that'll be it for this card review. Again, this Emma is a bait card. You don't have to pull for it. As strong as the tap active looks, it's not that great. It's actually weaker than it probably should be. And unless you're an Emma Oshi, or unless you're a Kanan Oshi, scouting for her Michoku Dreamer costume, you're probably not going to want to pull on this banner. I would much rather save any Star Gems you have and save them for the 2nd anniversary coming up in a couple of weeks. Alright, and that'll be it for us. If you have a chance, if you're around when I go live, swing by on Twitch. We have a good time. Chat likes to laugh at me a lot. I don't know why. But yes, with that, I will see you all later. Take it easy, YouTube. We will see you all later. Bye!